Welcome to Localite, everybody. I'm John Compton, and of course, it's great to have you with us. And in studio with me today is a couple who has implemented a program into Hood River that is an international program called Life Skills, and they're here to tell us all about that. And we're going to start off with Pam Hughes, who is the director of the Hood River Family Life Skills Center, again, based in Hood River. And so let's start right there. One, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming in. And two, what got you interested in life skills?
Well, one of the main things was that a lot of people with hurts in their life and stuff, and then it came really to home when our daughter, who we've adopted, she married a gentleman who had 3 children in the foster care system. And just to see the reactive attachment disorder they had and the different things that they were dealing with, but also that we encouraged him then that if you're going to be with our daughter, you need to take something, to get some more help. Well, he'd been taking several classes from MASA. And so he said, okay, well, I'll do that. And so he took the program, and he said he learned more in 7 weeks of learning to live, learning to love, that's what the program's called, than he did in 72 weeks of MASA.
That's amazing.
And from that, the kids were still in a foster care when we had met, she had met him and stuff. From that, having the kids to be adopted out is what everyone was pushing, that he got his kids back June 11th.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's lots of adjustments going on.
Yeah, I guess. And he attributes that to what
Yes.
he learned through life skills.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, life skills, the name itself, you kind of can gather, I probably can figure out what that is, but what is it exactly? What's the program?
Well, it's kind of confusing too, like you said, because life skills, there's a lot of different programs called life skills, and they call it Life Skills International. It's actually based in Aurora, Colorado. We go back for training and stuff for that. But what it is it takes, it started as a DV project, domestic violence, and from that it broadened out into more areas because they saw the need for people who'd been hurt, traumas in their life or whatever, and how it then progressed into many different areas that we're in now. But it's actually called Learning to Live, Learning to Love, because it is so encompassing of the whole person. But we are an affiliate, and so it's kind of like a franchise thing. Mm-hmm. So we have 29 years behind us. So even though our center has started about 1.5 years ago, we first started as a ministry center, and then now we become a professional center. So that allows us to do more things like the youth program. We're really excited about looking at that, hoping to get it into the schools. Better Homes and Guardians, working with people in nursing care and those kind of things. But also expanding, we do phase 1, which is a 30-week program, which is you meet once a week, 3 hours a week, and then it's so that's 6 months. And people go, oh my goodness, 6 months, I don't know if I can do that.
I gotta commit to that.
Yeah, committing to it. And then we do a phase 2 program, which carries on from that.
And so what are some of the things that people are learning in these classes? Like, what are you teaching them?
Some of the basics is it's kind of also credited as like a self-parenting class. Things that you maybe have missed growing up that our parents didn't know how to teach us. And then also people take it so they can be better parents. Like my daughter is actually taking it so she can deal better, knowing herself better, and then being a better parent. But some of the things is that learning how to manage my emotions, my anger, my pain, because all of us have something of that. How to communicate better, how to resolve anger. That's a little bit different from that. Mm-hmm. But those are some of the main things. But then also how to communicate, dealing with life in general. And a lot of things, I don't know, I had 6 different dads growing up.
Wow.
So, I've had a little bit of changes happen in my life, and you would be so surprised, maybe not, because you talk with a lot of people, on how many people have hurts and trauma. We've adopted 4 children, so that's trauma. They were taken away or, abandoned or whatever we've had from India and Korea. But it's good, but they deal with abandonment and rejection. And they need to learn about that and to be able to process that, because otherwise we tend to have an anger inside of us that we don't know what to do with it then, because it is it's like a low rage, and we put up a pseudo personality. We call it masks. And from that, we will deal with that until something comes against us and we hit the wall, or we get something that triggers us, and then we revert back to where we were hurt as a child, whatever trauma that was. Like I said, it could be good or bad. And then we strike out in anger. Usually it's anger, but it can come out in other ways. And so it's learning to identify that and to be able to process it and start the healing process.
What about the folks that maybe it manifests in addiction, for instance? Does the program that you provide, does it address those issues as well?
Absolutely.
Like substance abuse and things like that?
Yes, it does, because that's a surface. It's one of the coping mechanisms that we do as human beings, that if we can't fix it, we don't know how to fix it, because we don't know what's wrong. I had this one gal in class, and she had 20 years of doing therapy, paying thousands of dollars, and she says, I finally can see the light at the end of the road, because they will say, well, this is what's wrong with you. But okay, I know what's wrong with me. I'm acting this way,
Right.
I'm doing these things, but how do I fix it? And that's what Dr. Hegstrom, who started the program, I don't know if you remember it's like back in the 70s, it kind of dates me, but it's called Unforgivable. And it was a movie put out by CBS.
Okay.
And John Ritter played Paul.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Harley Zoak, I believe it's her name. Anyway, she played the woman who is his wife, Judy. And anyway, he had gotten to the point, he was a batterer. He was a pastor's son, but he battered his wife. And so they ended up breaking up, and then during that time of breakup, he actually almost beat a woman to death. And this woman said, you will get help, or I'm pressing charges and you're going to go to jail for 21 years. So he's forced into a therapy session type things. And anyway, from that, he started growing and developing this program. That's why it started as DV. Okay. And then it came around where he saw that, there was more things to it, and developed that. But he's been remarried to his wife now, the original one, Judy.
The one that he battered?
The one that he battered for 25 years, 26 I think it is now.
Really?
And brought a restoration of their family, of the kids, and in fact the kids are working in at the center headquarters in Aurora, Colorado.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So it was made out of pain, but he went to therapy too, $20,000, and they say, okay, this is what's wrong with you, but he's saying, how do you fix me? So what he found is missing in the family systems therapy is that there's 4 key links that are missing in most all the therapy. And it's really interesting when you get into it. It's like, I never thought I'd ever be doing any of this kind of stuff, but it's so intriguing to me. But one is understanding the dynamics of the unhealthy mother-son bond. And I try to do that with my 16-year-old because we were having trouble, my husband and I, at a certain point in our marriage. And we did a year of marriage counseling and, talked to pastors and everything, and it just wasn't working. So I was complaining to my son one time as we were driving. I know exactly where it was. And I was telling him all the stuff that I was upset with my husband. But then, and he turns around, and I just am thankful he was mature enough. And he said, Mom, he says, you don't need to be telling me this. You need to deal with Dad on that. But see, if a woman is made 90% emotional and 10% sexual, and we learn this, and I never put a finger on it until I started doing these classes. And a man is 90% sexual and 10% emotional. When they come together, they complete that bond. If the woman cannot get her emotional needs, have that tie with her husband, she seeks it from her son.
Oh, really?
And develops an unhealthy emotional bond there. And the son develops anger because he knows it's wrong.
And a resentment.
And all kinds of stuff can come from that. And that's what happened with Dr. Hegstrom.
Okay.
He was a single child. His mom wasn't, the dad was away a lot. And, they'd have their pizza nights and stuff like that. But anyway, and the other one is understanding the dynamics of an unhealthy father-daughter bond and identifying arrested emotional development, and then also learning how from that to restart the maturity of the brain and rewire around the trauma that you've had in your life. It's not done in other ones. And so it's taking and putting the puzzle together, because a lot of times we think, I'm crazy. Why am I I'm acting this way? I don't understand why I act this way. And it helps identify the arrested development in our core, and it's usually before the age 9 that it happens, and then putting that tied together to my behaviors of today. Once you can understand that, then it starts making sense of the craziness of our lives.
So there's this direct correlation there, and we have this whole life that's built up in between it. So you have to kind of deal with that at the same time.
Right. We've started the behaviors with the addictions, and the addictions, whatever, if it's drinking or smoking or whatever it is, we are doing those things to cope. Lying can be an addiction. And we've had several come from Al-Anon and 12-step, and they've said, because we've had some people take the class and they've go back for, their support, friends, and they said, you have got to take this. It is so awesome.
So this program can work in conjunction with
Absolutely.
like AA or Al-Anon. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, we're going to take a break here real quick. When we come back, I understand your husband's going to be on, and he's going to continue this conversation. So interesting stuff. You guys will be right back, so don't go anywhere. Life Skills is on the program.